Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to create a MrBeast style text overlay and also track it into our shot. We're going to go over a few different methods of tracking because this effect can be achieved multiple ways. So, let's get started. In Resolve, import the clips you'll be working with. I pulled these 3 free stock clips from pexels.com. Okay, so now we're going to duplicate all 3 clips so that we have our original versions untouched underneath. I'm doing this by selecting all 3 clips, holding down Option, and drag the selection up to the next video layer. Then, we're going to turn these duplicates into their own Fusion compositions by selecting each one, right-clicking and choosing New Fusion Composition. We're now ready to open the first Fusion clip in Fusion by having the playhead anywhere on the clip and clicking on the Fusion tab. In Fusion, we can see our current clip on the bottom. And our clip is in Viewer 2. The first tracking method we're going to use is the camera tracker. I'm hitting Shift Spacebar to pull up the quick dialog and search for the camera tracker. I'm putting the camera tracker node in the left viewer by selecting it and hitting 1 on the numpad or keyboard. In the inspector, click the checkbox to preview the tracking markers. Click on the Options tab and click the checkbox Darken Image to make it easier to see the points. Then go back to the Track tab and select Bidirectional Tracking. You can adjust the threshold sliders if you want more or less tracking points. Then click Auto Track. Once the tracking is complete, navigate to the Solve tab and click on Solve. You can see the solve error here is over 1 pixel. Since we want to get under 1 pixel, let's fix that. Below in the Track Filtering section, click on Select Tracks Satisfying Filters. You can see the yellow selected tracks in the viewer. Back in the inspector, click on Delete in the Operations section. Now, let's resolve. The error is still a little high for my liking, so I'm going to repeat those steps one more time. 0.4 is much better. Now click on the Export tab. Open the 3D Scene Transform settings. Click on Unaligned, and click and drag over the viewer on some tracking points that you want to represent the ground. Then back in the inspector under Orientation, click on Set from Selection. Next, click on a point that you want to be the origin. Then click Set from Selection under the Origin section. Turn the scene back to aligned and then hit Export at the top. That created a few new nodes for us that we can organize quickly. Let's put the Merge 3D node into Viewer 1. I'm using the mouse wheel to scroll in the 3D view. Right-click in the viewer, click on Camera, and select Camera 3D to view what the camera sees. Now we're ready to add the text. Shift Spacebar, open a Text Plus node. Let's add our sample text in Viewer 1. I'm going to change the color in the font. Now let's move to the Shading tab. Click on the 2 element and enable it. This is an outline that's currently red. Let's change that. I'm changing the color to black and increasing the thickness. Next, let's add an Image Plane 3D node. We can do this with Shift Spacebar or up here in the Toolbar section. We can see the text is in the 3D viewer, but it's really small, so in the inspector of the text node, let's increase the size all the way up. Now connect the Image Plane node into the Merge 3D node. Now I'm going to connect the Camera Tracker node to a regular Merge node on our main node chain. Let's orient the text. Click on the Image Plane node, and in the inspector mess with the Translation, Rotation, and Scale sections to adjust the text to where you want it in 3D space and in the clip. I want to hide the grid overlay, so right-click on the viewer, go to 3D Options, and click on Grid. Let's also hide the ground plane node by selecting it and hitting Command or Control-P on the keyboard. Okay, now let's animate the text. This is really easy. Let's add a transform node after the text node. We're going to animate the size. At frame 1, turn the size all the way down and set a keyframe. Then go forward about 8 frames and change the size up to 1. We have the animation. To make it smoother, open the spline editor. Make sure you can see both keyframes. Select them both or click in the area and hit Command A. Then right-click, go to Ease, and change the type to Outback Cubic. Now our text does this fun little bounce on. And that's the first method done. Let's move to the second. For the second clip, we're going to use the Planar tracker instead. With the Planar tracker node selected, let's click some points and draw a shape around this headlight. Then, change the tracking type to hybrid, set our reference time, and track the scene. Great, that was a good track. Now, we can change the operation type from track to corner pin. In corner pin, let's rearrange the corners to fit a bit better in the scene, maybe on top of the headlight. Great, let's add the text. I'm just going to go back to the first clip we worked on and copy and paste the text from there, since we already did the animating and all of that work. Connect up the transform node of the text to the planar tracker, and we're in business. Our text is stuck onto the headlight. As you can see, the effect of the planar tracker here is different and less perfect than the camera tracker. We effectively did an object track on the moving car as opposed to putting the text static somewhere in this scene. One more thing I'm going to do is just add a quick drop shadow to the text to give it some depth. Okay, onto the final method I'm going to talk about. In this third clip, we're going to use the regular tracker. With the tracker selected, find the first track and place it on an object with a good amount of contrast and detail. I'm going to do this a few more times with more trackers by clicking Add in the inspector. I'm trying to find a variety of spots and distances with each track so that they cover a big chunk of the clip. You don't need this many tracks, but the more you do the better the result will be. I'd say depending on the shot, anywhere from 2 to 6 tracks should be good. Now, change the adaptive mode to every frame and let's track all of these points. That did a great job. Now let's copy and paste our text again from the previous clip. Back on the tracker node, let's change the operation to match move and connect up our text. It's a little too big for this clip, so in the text node we can bring the size down. Then in the transform node, let's move it around to a better spot. This is pretty good. As you can see, this achieves another variation of a tracked shot. It's again less perfect than the camera tracker, but still effective depending on the complexity and deadline of your shot. In certain scenarios, this is good enough. And that's it. Those are 3 ways you can create text overlays like some of the ones in MrBeast's videos and also track them onto your clips. Obviously, with each method we went over, you can dive even deeper and add more effects to the text. Try tracking different sections of the clip, all to make the final result look better. But since this is just more of an overview, we're not going to get deep in the weeds, yet. As always, thanks for watching.